Give your birds a breathing chance. The bird has evolved an extraordinary respiratory system, one that can maintain a constant supply of oxygen to the muscles during flight and provide enough oxygen to sing at the same time. A bird's respiratory system takes up about 20% of its internal volume, similar to another animal with a huge oxygen demand, the horse. In contrast, the human respiratory system occupies about 5% of its internal volume. Despite the evolutionary advantages, there can be disadvantages that, if not addressed, may result in decreased health and performance. The one-of-a-kind, unique avian respiratory system. The avian respiratory system is structurally and functionally unique among air-breathing vertebrates. Unlike the reciprocating mammalian respiratory system, which terminates in large alveolar air sacs, the avian lung is a unidirectional flow-through system that terminates in small air capillaries. The avian respiratory system consists of two lungs where gas exchange occurs and several air sacs that serve as mechanical ventilators. The avian bronchus is a branching three-tiered system that gives rise to primary and secondary bronchi and tertiary parabronchi. This means that the trachea divides into primary bronchi, each of which passes through the lungs and ends in the abdominal air sacs. Secondary bronchi arise from the primary bronchi in the lungs and supply air to the other air sacs. The parabronchi form an intricate system of branching and interlacing thin-walled air capillaries surrounded by exchange tissue. The structure of this tissue is such that the blood capillaries are exposed to air on all sides, greatly increasing the surface area available for gas exchange. In contrast, mammalian alveolar blood capillaries are exposed to air only on two sides. This makes the avian gas exchange system highly efficient. Air sacs make up the largest volume of the avian respiratory system. They serve to facilitate the continuous flow of large volumes of air through the lungs, thereby increasing efficiency. A key difference in the avian respiratory system is that respiration is unidirectional. This means that it takes two complete cycles, 2 inhalations and 2 exhalations, to move a given volume of oxygen-rich air through the lung and air sac system. The one direct inhalation and exhalation cycle of mammals may seem simpler, but this system is unable to maintain a constant volume of air. What does this mean for the bird? Taking into account the blood-gas barrier, respiratory surface area, lung volume, and pulmonary blood capillary volume, the avian lung allows for a significant increase in efficiency compared to the mammalian lung. This increased efficiency may translate into optimized physiological performance through increased oxygen exchange. However, the unique structure of the avian respiratory system means that care must be taken to maintain health and performance. There are several factors in poultry management that can affect the health of the bird's respiratory system. First and foremost is bird management. Zoohygiene, environmental and climatic conditions, ventilation, stocking density, and housing type all play an important role in the quality of the available air. In addition, exposure to pathogens plays a critical role. From the nasal-associated lymphoid tissues to the bronchial-associated lymphoid tissues, the respiratory tract is the bird's first line of defense against pathogens. There are several common respiratory pathogens, both bacterial and viral, that challenge birds at different ages. Several avian viruses can cause, among other clinical signs, airway obstruction, which often leads to decreased performance, morbidity, and ultimately death. In addition, there are numerous common bacteria and nonspecific pathogens that directly or indirectly affect a bird's respiratory system, adding to a complex problem. What does this mean for the farmer? Animals with compromised respiratory systems have low blood oxygen levels, leading to discomfort, reduced vitality, and decreased feed intake. Ultimately, this leads to reduced performance and even increased mortality rates. In addition to the economic losses from reduced flock performance due to respiratory problems, several avian diseases also result in additional costs for the farmer that affect the bottom line. With the goal of avoiding the manifestation of larger complex problems, these additional expenses typically include costs associated with improved biosecurity and sanitation, vaccination programs, and medical treatments. In addition, certain diseases where prevention has been unsuccessful may require the culling of the entire flock, resulting in a significant financial loss to the farmer. In places where compensation for lost flocks is not available, this can be devastating. Therefore, preventative measures are of paramount importance. Signs that all is not right. Routine inspection of several metrics of the flock can help determine if something is not well with the birds. These data points can include age, vaccination status, previous medical treatments, mortality, weight gain, laying rate, hatchability, and feed and water intake. Behavioral signs, specifically activity level, attentiveness, perching behavior, huddling, and posture, are also important to take note of as they can provide many clues to the health of the flock. When considering the clinical signs that are evident in a flock with respiratory problems, we can categorize these into what we can see and what we can hear. What we see. A very common sign is an open beak, indicating that the bird is panting. This may be an attempt to cool down due to thermal stress or trying to clear its airways of mucus. The nostrils and sinuses often show signs of swelling and some discharge, and the eyes may show signs of conjunctivitis, or they may be foamy and or sunken. The comb and wattle may be visibly swollen and discolored. The bird's posture can also tell a lot, especially if the feathers appear to be ruffled, the wings drooping, and the bird is hunched over, moribund. What we hear. Attentive ears will normally pick up irregular sounds in a flock, like, for example, sniveling. This sound is usually found with mild inflammation and is typically associated with viral infections, although it can sometimes occur with vaccination reactions. When birds are heard sniffing and grunting, this often indicates more irritated mucous membranes in the upper respiratory tract and is often seen with signs of conjunctivitis. Tracheal rales and honking are clinical signs that we can hear with both viral and bacterial infections, especially with infectious bronchitis, Newcastle disease, and colibacillosis infections. These signs are a clear indication of excess mucus in the nasal cavity, and tracheal inflammation. It should be noted, though, that all of these signs can be heard when the house's climate and environment are not satisfactory. On the other hand, shrieking, gasping, wheezing, and coughing are signs of critical respiratory disease and are typically associated with infectious bronchitis, Newcastle disease, infectious laryngeotracheitis, avian influenza, and colibacillosis. These birds have severely inflamed airways and thick mucus and are in danger of suffocating. How can we deal with respiratory problems? For most avian respiratory diseases, the best prevention methods are vaccination and biosecurity. In fact, vaccination is required by law in some countries for certain diseases, such as Newcastle disease and infectious bronchitis. Outbreaks of Newcastle disease are considered serious because of their potential to be velogenic, which is characterized by rapid spread and up to 100% mortality. There is currently a global focus on avian influenza and how best to manage this disease. Preventative vaccination is not yet standard, so biosecurity and good farm hygiene play a fundamental role as this virus is highly contagious, easily spread, and not only highly pathogenic to many bird species, but some strains can also spread to the human population. While good biosecurity and farm management are the basic tools to prevent major respiratory problems, antibiotics remain a necessary tool to manage pathogenic pressures on farms that threaten animal welfare, reduce performance, and promote diseases that are harmful to animals and ultimately humans. Phytogenic additives can help. Despite their utility, the use or overuse of antibiotics in the industry has come under scrutiny. Alternatives to antibiotics have become increasingly important, and the use of phytogenic feed additives as adjuncts to conventional methods is one area that shows promise. This interest is reflected in the increased research into their efficacy, and there are many scientific studies demonstrating the various benefits of phytogenic additives to poultry. The use of phytogenic compounds during respiratory challenges in poultry can be valuable, both in combination with conventional treatments or as a preventative aid. They can help alleviate respiratory signs and ease breathing, providing comfort and improved well-being. Some phytogenic additives can help thin mucus and make it easier to clear from the airways. In addition, these additives, with their antispasmodic and expectorant properties, can help clear airways and ease breathing during infection. Other phytogenic compounds are known for their cooling properties. These compounds activate certain cold receptors on mucous membranes, creating a cooling effect and promote the feeling of easier air intake. Birds benefit from this effect not only when they are congested, but also in situations where there are large temperature fluctuations. Phytogenic dietary feed supplements in action. The supportive effects of a phytogenic dietary supplement, Broncovest, on respiratory signs were investigated in a controlled trial. 384 Ross 308 broilers were assigned to one of 6 groups: a positive control, negative control, challenged treated birds, and unchallenged treated birds. All birds were vaccinated against Newcastle disease with Lasota strain on day 15, and those in the challenged groups were inoculated with an intratracheal pathogenic field isolate of E. coli on day 22. After vaccination and challenge, Broncovest was administered either in the drinking water or as a spray application. All birds were monitored penwise for clinical signs 4 times a day for up to 7 days post-challenge for the following respiratory signs: head swelling, nasal discharge, sneezing, coughing, and dyspnea. Each clinical sign was scored on a scale of 0 for non-evident to 3 for severe. Challenged birds supplemented with Broncovest had decreasing respiratory signs over the supplementation period compared to the birds in the untreated challenged positive control group. At the end of the monitoring period, the birds belonging to both challenged treated groups had similar clinical scores to those birds in the unchallenged groups, including the negative control. These trial results clearly demonstrate the ability of phytogenic supplements like Broncovest to help reduce respiratory signs in at-risk birds. Broncovest combines the synergistic effects of several active phytogenic ingredients to help birds with respiratory signs. This is particularly helpful in cases of viral respiratory diseases where the immune system is challenged and damaged mucous membranes are susceptible to bacterial infection. Broncovest is a flexible and easy-to-use tool for farmers to improve bird health and performance by addressing respiratory issues. Broncovest is your tool for better breathing birds. I'm Dr. Melinda Culver for Biochem, and thank you for listening to the newsletter out loud. If you are interested in learning more about this topic, please contact us at biochem.net.